the generation of, between 18 and 30, they understand Jamaica in a particular way. They can't compare Jamaica to anything else. They weren't born there. But the generation of, maybe 45 to 18, they would understand a little bit more about how Jamaica has transitioned. So if you were to say, how would you define Jamaica 15 years ago? 10 years ago? What would be the definition of Jamaica? If an international rating agency doing a profile of Jamaica to give to an international investor, what would that profile have? The first thing at the top, they would say, is Jamaica a solvent country? Is it at risk of bankruptcy? So they would look at a metric called the debt to GDP. What you owe versus what you produce every year to pay down that debt. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were in that bracket of owing much more than we produce. As high as sometimes 150% more than what we produce. 10 years ago, we were somewhere in the region of about 129% more than what we produce. Today, our debt is at 68.7%. So when you compare, Jamaica 10 years ago to Jamaica now, totally different Jamaica. Persons who would have lived in that era of high debt would have never thought that the debt would fall below 100%, because that's what we're grown used to. And for many, it was deemed a problem. But we have addressed that. And if you tag on all the other things around that metric, things like the dollar, the stability of the dollar, if you tag on the level of interest rates, if you tagged on the need for more taxes in order to meet the fiscal requirements, this is a totally different Jamaica now than it was 10 years ago. Another major intractable problem was crime and violence. I believe we have tackled quite effectively the crime issue. You think about it, our murder rate, which is a metric that measures the number of murders you have in a year per 100,000 of population. Sometimes we were as high as 50 per 100,000, which would have placed us at times within the top 5 most murderous countries in the region and certainly in the world. Today, if you annualize what our murder rate is, we're about between 20 and 25 per 100,000, meaning that we have slashed it in half. There is still a violence problem. No doubt, that's a more socially nuanced problem, which takes a different set of tools to address, which we have been working on those tools, and we will come to fruition with those very soon. And we will make Jamaica a more loving, caring, calmer, respectful country. We need to get back to the view where when people came to Jamaica, they said, Jamaica, Irie, Jamaica, no problem, man. Instead of the kind of aggression that we're seeing in just general social transactions. And we're going to work on that and ensure that that intractable problem is addressed. But another intractable problem that has plagued us for decades, it is the high energy cost. And everybody complains. I see my friends here from JPS, and let me see some JPS people here. And I'm happy to see JPS here as a plan that is going to reduce the cost of energy. Let me not go any further than that. But every Jamaican is very much concerned about the cost of energy. And they look at other countries and they say, why is it that our energy cost is just so high? And we have done all kinds of things. We have changed the regulatory environment. We have changed, we, as a country, one of the things that we can be proud of across political administrations is that we developed in 2009 an energy plan under the Bruce Golding administration, which called for the introduction of LNG that was carried through under the Portia Simpson administration and carried through under us. So the energy transition is fairly stable in terms of politics. And we managed to have that transition, as Minister Vaz pointed out, 60% of our energy is now generated through LNG. So we have done some transformations in the energy space, but it has not resulted in a reduction and stabilization of energy costs. Energy costs continue to be far too high, not just for consumers, but also for businesses, which ultimately means higher cost of living for consumers. So the government has to take on this problem and bring the cost of energy down. It's a multifaceted approach to bring the cost of energy down. Minister Vaz told you of one of the important initiatives that we will undertake, which is to renegotiate the license. I don't want to go into it too much. We have good faith negotiations. So the truth is, however, that the structure of the license has to be renegotiated for greater efficiency, but also for greater accountability. So that is underway already, and the country can be assured that in the same way we have tackled the big problems, debt, fiscal management, crime, we're going to tackle and bring down the cost of energy to households and firms. But the cost of energy, it's not just in terms of the economic cost. We are a government that is also very much concerned about the climate and the impact on the climate. Granted, what we contribute to global warming or any climate change impact is absolutely negligible. Absolutely negligible. But we still occupy a planet, and the space that we occupy is some of the most vulnerable areas in the world. As an island, low-lying, in a hurricane belt, we must be concerned. So if we're going to raise our voices globally about climate change, then we can't at the same time be irresponsible in how we conduct our own energy consumption. And so it's important for us to integrate within our energy provision and our energy mix more climate-friendly fuels. But there is also another kind of self-interested view as to why we need to have an energy transition in Jamaica. Now, our energy policy calls for a certain level of energy security, which really speaks to our ability to ensure that we have a consistent supply of energy and fuel coming into Jamaica. And fuel coming into Jamaica. So we welcome Accelerate, who has taken over and doing a fairly good job. We hope that you will continue your expansion here. You have a regasification plant just offshore here, and you continue to expand your supply within the country. And we welcome that. That gives us security, because considering this way, this plant can't work if the gas doesn't get here. We don't produce the gas here, but we have a certain level of security because the company that is our partner in this has put down the investments to ensure that we have significant storage capabilities and that there is a well-established fleet of ships that will take it here, and we have long-term contracts that will be contracts that will be fulfilled. So that's very important for our security. But that security will be enhanced when we also have a certain level of independence. And the only way to get independence in energy, we have not yet been blessed with the discovery of oil or any. You're testing out in the field. You're working on it. Okay. All right. Well, we're not going to wait on that. We're not going to wait on the discovery of oil. Next term. Okay. We're not waiting on the discovery of oil. Right? What God has given us every day in abundance is solar. And we have some of the highest level of irradiance in our solar, in our sunshine here, that if we were more motivated in taking advantage of it, we could increase the energy generation from solar. But there are other options too that we must explore in the energy mix, including hydro, pumped hydro storage, including, it's not, people don't readily grab onto this one, but nuclear, small modular nuclear. We should explore all the possible potential energy sources, at least put ourselves in a position that should they become feasible, we can jump on it very quickly. And I always give this example. It took us almost 9 years to plan and transition from heavy fuel oils into having a secure supply chain of LNG. Small modular nuclear plants are now being considered by firms. I'm seeing Google and Microsoft and other companies seeking to invest in these things and building them out to supply their data processing needs. And they are using as much electricity as the entire country of Jamaica. So they have to find solutions that work for them. It would only mean that in the next decade or so, these technologies could fall within the range of manageability for Jamaica. But that would only happen not just by the technology maturing, but by Jamaica building out the human resources and legislative environment to be able to take advantage of that. So whilst we won't be able to develop the technology, we can certainly have the people there who will be able to manage the technology. And so we have to be thinking ahead. And so that's what we are trying to do, where we have signed MOUs with Canada, and we're looking at signing with other countries who have nuclear capabilities to help us develop the manpower and the understanding of the science here, so that should that technology becomes something that we could use, we are in a position to use it. But we want to be energy independent as a small island. So we must develop our solar capabilities, we must develop our hydro, and we should also not give up on wind. We should try to develop our wind capabilities as well, and we should invest in pumped solar hydro as well. So all of those things are being done. So the country can rest assured that your government is not just looking at what is in front of us, but we have a periscope that looks all the way out to the horizon to see what the future could bring, and be prepared to meet that future. That is how this government has operated, and that is why we have been able to take on these large, intractable problems and make real impacts on changes in your life. So with those few comments, And I'm very grateful that you have been such a wonderful audience to listen to my lecture. Thank you. And again, congratulations and commendations to Mr. Brown.
I think, Chairman, you want to come and say a few more words?
Mr. Prime Minister, I know as Chairman, I do have the prerogative to at least say something. There's something that I do believe I overlooked, and I want to just say. 3 weeks ago, I was out here. We need to recognize we're at the back of our person plan. It was the back of our yard. And I want to just thank Dave. I want to thank Dana Cameron. I want to thank Ava Sinclair. The team have done an amazing job. But we could sit here with 4 ministers in an environment like this. I just really one other thing, Mr. Prime Minister. Chicken is by far cheaper than pork, cheaper than goat, cheaper than any other meat. Am I right, Mr. Minister? Right? And last night I ate oxtail, and although I went through the indigestion, as I ate, I realized it's more expensive. And chicken, I should have been eating chicken. But we are the cheapest meat. And Mr. Prime Minister, one last thing. When I'm overseas and anybody asks me, how is Jamaica? Do you know what I say? I say Jamaica is one of 5 countries that has reduced their debt. Congratulations, sir. It's the biggest achievement. And I hope you continue.
Mr. Chairman, actually, I would also add that the debt reduction has taken the pressure off the taxpayers and given us some space. And I know for many years, I can't even recall when last we got a tax increase. PM might be able to help us with that, but
11 years ago.
It's 11 years ago. So it has gotten ingrained, but every year now, nobody is even thinking about taxes. I recall prior to 11 years ago, when budget time coming up, right? Everybody listen, right? Is your sector getting hit or not? You know, so we really want to come in, and that's what I'm saying, that I think the general environment in the country has improved a lot, and we are very grateful for that. And in closing, I just wanted to also say that from a poultry standpoint, I don't think the industry, we have done very well in telling our story. You know, we live it, we breathe it, every day, and we think everybody out there understands all the mechanics that goes into getting that chicken on the table. And I will say that, you know, we are trying through the Caribbean Poultry Association to more channel and get out there what the impact of the industry has been to the Jamaican economy in particular here. And you know, every year when we talk about what Jamaica Broilers does in terms of investments each year, but every year as our production increases, we require more housing capacity and that's farmers. That's nothing to do with Jamaica Broilers, right? And we're talking about millions of US dollars again every year. That is just being pumped into investments in housing capacity, right? Every year we probably add 10 to 15 houses in our fleet just to keep abreast with the growth that is going on, right? So that adds on to the nearly 100,000 small farmers that are out there. And that's just poultry direct impact. When we talk about the pork, the cattle, all of those other sectors, the feed, base or poultry, base loads, those sectors, right? Horse racing, right? None of those sectors would exist without the industry. And I think we as an industry, we're trying to put it out there more for people to have a better appreciation for this, what the sector does. So thank Prime Minister for sharing with us this morning. We now invite all of us, everybody to just join outside for the ribbon cutting and the official commissioning of our LNG powered cogen plant. At this time, I'm going to ask the chairman and president to start the Prime Minister, Minister Floyd, Minister Vaz, and Senator Hill, and Ms. Audrey Tugwell, Henry, for the designated space outside Dana. And on point with that, please. Once you have made our way there, we can follow and witness the ribbon cutting. Immediately following that, we invite my MP need to join as well, you know. So right, so one, and we continue to invest bold in Jamaica's future. Thanks.
You can't